How do you turn your scattered job search into a director level role at a Fortune 500 company? Well, today you're about to find out because I have Kelly here with me, and she and I had this great conversation after she got her offer, and I wanted to share it with you. Kelly went from applying to everything and feeling like we all feel in the job search, a little bit scattered. And she went from that to having clear direction and having strong interviews and landing a director level role with a fantastic salary increase. Let's just add that in there now. But she realized that it wasn't about someone giving her industry connections. It was about learning how to position herself for any opportunity, how to communicate her value, and also how to navigate the entire process strategically and a whole heck of a lot more confidently. I'm not going to spoil it. I'll let you go ahead and jump into the conversation right now.
Last week went really well with the offer and negotiations and stuff like that. And then I've had a lot of people reaching out, like, I've heard you're coming on board and excited to work with you. So it feels really welcoming so far.
How was your search going before you and I ever talked?
Yes, before the coaching program, I would say it was very flustered. I was scattered all over the place, seeing job posts on LinkedIn or otherwise, and just quickly applying without thinking through the actual experience on my end. Would this be a good job fit for me? And on
Mhm.
their end, what would my application look like to them? So I was very much just like blanket applying mode. And I think this program certainly helped make me take a step back in a good way of, okay, let's look at your actual experience and pull out those nuggets that actually mean more but weren't as highlighted well enough on
Mm.
my other applications. So I really felt like that focused things and helped me almost get a better sense of, oh yeah, this was my experience, this is where I'm heading, this is what I want. So just getting that clearer focus.
What made you decide before you and I met? There was
Hmm.
something that made you decide, I want to work with the coach on this.
Yes.
What was that like trigger moment for you?
Yes. I think the trigger moment was realizing I had been trying to do my own soul searching in a way and listening to a lot of podcasts and like thinking through, okay, what is it that I want? What is my next direction? But underneath that, I was like nervous and scared. And I think I was just acting out of that more. So I think the final straw for me was feeling like when I took a step back and looked at what I was applying to, it was so all over the board. And I really wanted to make sure that this process was done right instead of just, I guess, more of that kind of quality over quantity feel. So, I was listening to your podcast a bunch, and a lot of your points were helpful to me, but I really felt like I was stuck in a place where I needed the personal one-on-one coaching to help get me there. And it's just not my expertise. I hadn't been in the job search for 10 years. So I was learning as much as I could on my own, but I felt like I really needed that one-on-one guidance to truly make the most difference there.
Yeah. I know that feeling. And I do this too, where I listen to podcasts and I'm like, okay, I can only go so far. And so
Yeah.
now I want someone's eyes, like specifically on my experience, which makes sense. Okay. I've been wanting to ask you this question since we
Okay.
started. You're listening to the Uncommon Career Podcast, where you and I meet up every single week to help you move from scattered job search to focused progress and to your offer. My name is Patricia Ortega, and I'm your brand strategist and your career coach. And you are a master at your craft. I'm in this because when you and I come together, you land a position that truly acknowledges every ounce of your potential, just like in Kelly's case. So for now, let's get into the rest of our conversation so you can hear how she landed her new role. And before you do, if you want to see the full strategy that she and I implemented, you can download that at theuncommoncareer.com/process. The link is also in the description for you. All right, let's get back to Kelly now. I've been wanting to ask you this question since we
Okay.
started.
Okay.
When you and I first met, there was a hesitation. You were like, I'm wondering how much healthcare experience. I don't know if this will work or if I need a niche coach. And I was like, okay, let me give you some context. I 100% thought she's going to find a contact, niche experience, and that's going to be a
Yeah.
better fit.
Yeah.
But then you were like, I'm on board. And so I'm like,
Yeah.
awesome. But I've been curious, what made you decide? I think you said something like, I slept on it and I've decided like this is the program I want. What made you decide that this was it versus someone who's niche focused?
Yeah, I think one, I was just already aligned with your philosophies. It felt like when I was listening to your podcast, it felt very natural to me. The way you communicate and feel like a real human that's there that cares. So I was already feeling connected to that. I think where I hesitated was the field that I'm in is very niche. And so I wanted to make sure were we going to be able to find the right roles that wasn't pulling me too far from my true background and experience. And that aspect was the missing link for
Hmm.
me. But I think after I thought about it and slept on it, I felt like, man, if I were to value one thing over the other, I wouldn't just choose someone that was connected or integrated in the healthcare system, but didn't have my best interest at heart or wasn't going to be there for the emotions and the psychological stress that comes with this process. And so I felt you provided enough concrete example for me of no, I can do this in any area. And you described that you're like a generalist in the ways that you've helped others, but I liked that you specialized in kind of this mid-level
Mm.
career, and that's exactly where I feel like I'm at. And yeah, I just felt like after thinking about it, that was the right decision was to go more based on my gut and less off of, okay, logistically, how well connected is this person? And I'm
Mm.
so glad I did because I feel like even though maybe you didn't make like direct networking connections, you gave me the tools to find the right people to do that. And I think that's actually better, more broad experience than
Mm.
just being like the quick wins of like, oh, let me connect you to this person and at XYZ healthcare organization, but giving me like the underlying toolkit to do that in whatever I go into in the future.
Reminds me of it's so overused. You're probably thinking of it right now because it's so overused. Of give someone a fish versus teaching them to fish. It's like
Yes.
that piece of this will be usable, like a power skill that you can use across your career.
Yes.
Um, okay, so you had this deciding factor. In a way, I'm like, did your decision pay off? Like, what was your experience in the program before you got to the outcome?
Yeah, I think, gosh, I was telling a friend this too, but I feel like I learned so much more than just job search skills and like finding the right role. I learned how to communicate better and tools to utilize and how to navigate things like LinkedIn that I'll use for my whole career. You know what I mean? It was just so valuable, I think, across the board, not just specifically in this like one time frame.
Okay, so now that you've been through the program, this is the big question, right? What was your outcome? Was it worth your investment? Tell us about
Yes.
your successes.
Yes, I felt like I had a non-traditional outcome in the program. I don't know if there is a traditional one, but like early on, you see the beautiful timeline that you give of, okay, here's week by week, and here's how we're going to go through it. And I felt like mine was like, if I actually drew it out, was all over the place. But I still felt like I was moving linearly too. So in the end, I did full circle end up in the role that I had started my job process in. I think it was the first interview I had ever actually had. So it's funny to see that full circle. But I don't think I would be in the place I am with this incredible job offer if I hadn't gone through the program at that exact time. Because looking back at the first couple interviews I did, I think I did well, but it wasn't as succinct. I didn't have the slide deck and the 90-day plan and all of these things that I think really helped me grow in confidence and then also seal the deal with the employer side. And I've just become so much more confident in that interview process where Before, I was feeling like I needed to memorize everything I was going to say. And now it feels just so much more comfortable. Like I've said it so many times that I like could do the tell me about yourself in my sleep. So it's just like nice to feel. And honestly, I think that's something that I'll probably use well within my first 90 days, meeting new people and feeling like I'm still interviewing in a way, even though it's not the same reason for that. But
Yeah.
I think I also made a lot of great connections. I didn't think about networking in the same way that I learned it really should be in this program of like
Mm.
really making those connections, how to reach out, having those one-on-one meetings. I have those now as well in my back pocket, whether that's useful in my role or just good to have those network connections professionally over time. And one thing that I really saw help was with the branding. I think like total resume revamp. I loved that was probably one of my favorite sessions was like our session where we talked through what was going to go on the resume and revised that. It honestly like some things I had been in my previous role for 10 years and some things you just forget that you did
Mm.
and were awesome. But it was
Yeah.
a long time ago and it's been buried by all these other accomplishments. So that illuminated a lot for me. I was like, oh yeah, I did do that pharmacogenomics. It was a long time ago, but that was pretty cool. And that helped me both on the resume and like the written application form, but also I think in interviews, even
Mm.
like reminding me of that experience and how I could talk about it and the language to use and tying it back to like metrics and outcomes and really taking full ownership of my accomplishments. You pulled me out of the we did this and that
Okay.
and into the no, you did that and you can own that. So I think that just gave me a lot more autonomy of my own work too.
Mm.
And then yeah, I think through the all of the interviews, it was really helpful to talk through and strategize each of those. And in the end, ended up with a great offer that I couldn't refuse. And I think you helped me too, because I'm like, okay, I want to leave the door open with this, but I like this offer. And I think your direction like helped me too, just be really confident in making that decision to take that role. And then also asking for a sign-on bonus and that the negotiations of that was very seamless, I think, because you helped me through that language to use as well.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna ask you one final question because then I want to
Okay.
get into like first 90 days planning, like a couple questions there. But if you're comfortable sharing, what was the increase in salary, the sign-on bonus, some of the big picture pieces?
Yeah, yeah. I had in this role, I wanted to be at a director level. So first and foremost, I was able to achieve that, like going from senior manager, which was my title. And even though I was operating at a director level, I really wanted that recognition that this is where I'm working. Was able to achieve that. I think salary wise, I was making 180,000 a year as like base salary. So they offered me 200,000 just to start and a really generous annual bonus, which had not been consistent previously. So that's
Mhm.
almost a $80,000 increase annually, which is incredible and never would have thought that like I'd be here today. I think when I started this process, I was kind of like, okay, I might have to take a step back and this program and like everything I went through just like propelled me so much farther forward than I think I would have been there. And then sign on bonus wise, I that wasn't part of the original offer, but I asked very succinctly for it and they came right back the next day and offered me an additional $15,000 sign on bonus. So that was something that I was not expecting and really just made me feel like, wow, they really want me. They really value me. And I think that was proven in multiple ways, but obviously the offer and the compensation is something that really helps.
Isn't that amazing? I just love hearing these stories. When you know that you're well qualified, you've got the experience, and you've got the achievements, but you also know that you're not leveraging them as well as you could be. If you're curious what it might look like to fully leverage your experience, I invite you to our intensive. It's a 90-minute coaching experience where I help you to figure out your job search strategy so you spend time where it's actually going to get you results. Then you and I together will co-create initial phrasing for some of your key experiences so that moving forward, you know how to develop your full message. My favorite part is that we figure out where you're experiencing the most friction, what's costing you the most opportunities, and the one shift that if we changed it, if you made that tweak, you would start to see traction in your job search. You can head over to theuncommoncareer.com/intensive if you're interested in it. Whether I see you in the intensive or if I see you next week on the podcast, know that Denise and I, we're cheering you on, we're praying for you, and we'll see you on the next one. Hey, thanks for listening. I really appreciate you spending time with me today. If you found this episode helpful, please tap the 5-star review on the show's homepage in your podcast app. It would absolutely make my day, and it helps others discover the Uncommon Career Podcast. Now, to download your free career resources and learn how I help seasoned professionals land amazing offers in as little as 90 days, click on the link in the description or go to theuncommoncareer.com. Thanks again, and I'll see you on the next one.